you again out there. I hope all's going well. Okay, so let's jump into it directly. So, the EPIC framework that I discussed in the previous lecture is an acronym for evaluation, preparation, implementation, and continuous improvement. All right. Now, this is typically used in large transformational activities, right? But if you minimalize it, it can be used as small changes as well. And you realize it when I go a little more deeper than what it is right now from an overview perspective. So, so once we're going through maybe an organization change, right? An organization change for the people who would not know this is a combination of human changes as well as technology changes in an organization, right? This would mean that there are processes which are changing. There could be, and the reason for that could be maybe a larger strategy change, or it could be something that they're changing their model for, the business model that they're working on, just to be better off than the competition. So once that is happening, the EPIC framework typically helps them to do this. Okay, and how does it operate? So during the evaluation stage, right, I mentioned the cycles to you in the previous one, right? Every individual business or countries go through it, or even nations go through it. So once you know which cycle you are in, this system will help you evaluate where you are and what you are given the RISE up methodology. All right. RISE up methodology has the same nomenclature as we've been encompassing it, because this is again a derived RISE up framework that we have done, but the larger change is all about this. Okay, and RISE up incidentally stands for the results through introspecting systems by evaluation of used parameters. Okay, that is the purpose of RISE up from an EPIC standpoint. But what this means? This means we go inside the box and see what is going wrong within us compared to the world outside, which is moving at a different pace for the changes that we anticipate bringing about. Okay, so that is what RISE up does for you, and there are discrete steps to it. There are techniques for each of those steps, and that whole system is working in form of steps to take through until a point of there's an outcome. Okay. In the preparation stage, right, once you have evaluated where you stand, right, by virtue of doing your RISE up methodologies, you prepare yourself for the change. And this is thinking out of the box, where you go about see your world, you analyze the outer world, you see where the direction of your competition is, what your workforce, your employees are demanding, what your external stakeholders in terms of your partners and other in a manufacturing unit like an OEM, etc. What are they demanding? Based on that, you make a change in your respective area, all right, and prepare yourself for that kind of requirement that they have, and goes through a similar cycle as I told you, right? Those 100 questions, in their case, would be 1,000 questions which are answered, and then they evaluate, they analyze further. The research is completed until to see, what they need to do at their levels. So you evaluate, then you prepare when you start thinking out of the box to meet the world requirements because of consistent changes, right? And then to do that, we use something called an impact. Impact incidentally stands for implementation strategy, Marcom, pedagogy, anti-acceptance, coaching, and targeted. All right. Now, each of these steps typically consists of basically research, doing marketing communication to get feedback. It deals with formulating the feedback that has come about, right? Then dealing with people who might not want to make a change while they're preparing. You also need to see that changes should not affect the larger people that have been working for you. So you do an anti-acceptance because of that, and then people who are ready, you start coaching them while the preparation stage to see how coachable they are for the change, and then you target the rest of the audience in a systematic fashion. Okay, so that is the purpose of impact. So you evaluate, you prepare using the respective methodologies, then you implement the change. Okay, once you implement the change, the the methodology used in during the implementation is Opine, right? And it's a deeper study there because it requires to know what sort of an organization you are in the first place from a cultural standpoint. This is typically not easy to evaluate because there are a lot of denials in this. But at an individual level, again, you have to see who your relationships are, what your goals are, and what your surroundings are all about, right? So, so Opine actually deals with cultural issue which are nominated or christened as officialdom, participative, indoctrination, negotiated, that's a wrong spelling there, and expert. All right. Now, officialdom is, I'll give you an example. I won't go through all of them because again, that's a deeper topic. Officialdom, for example, is an organization which is run by only very specific individuals who run the show. This is true when there's a venture capitalist who is calling the shots, right? Or a proprietorship firm which is grown out of proportion, or a large conglomerate which is not listed on the bourses as yet, but has maybe the chairman running the show, or and also acting as a CEO, but calls for all the shots that requires to be taken. That is an example of an officialdom, right? So for officialdom, there is a different way how you implement the changes. Okay. Similarly, there is different ways of getting into participative or one of those other Opine related methodologies put into play, because each of them, based on their cultural aspects of things, requires to be changed accordingly. Okay, and each of them then use a different strategy or multitude of strategies to do that. Okay, so that is the purpose of implementation. However, we'll go through the 3M approach that I have devised because I've seen that over a period of time what really works and will work in the digital era. Now, might encompass a lot of this all together in that one particular model. Okay, having said that, once all this is in place, this is where the next step is where people fall short, the continuous improvement. Could be individual, nations, could be organizations, whatever. The very purpose, they don't change with times because the change is the only consistent in the world. You know that, right? And this is a cliche, you know that. This and very purpose of writing that book and what is changing now, so that everybody should come to par with the virtue of accepting and using whatever techniques mentioned there, right? So continuous improvement needs to happen on a continuous basis. There are various ways and methodologies of doing that. The very fact that the business cycles and individual people go through a trough, low down and so on and so forth, is because they are not continuously checking out for themselves and improving with time the changes around them. Okay, the tune helps do that. The 4-word approach again: think, usher, nurture, and execute is all about thinking and implementing or assessing your current situation, then working on the situation from a nurturing perspective, and then executing it. All right. It is also on the principles if people from IT exist out there. That's a TDBM. TDBM stands for think, do, plan, and okay, I forget the M. So it's a TDM. All right. So sorry, it's TDMA, just to correct. So TDMA is about think, plan, do, methodology. So TPDM, think, plan, do, methodology. TPDM is it's actually been derived from there. So this has been put in as think, usher, nurture, and execute. All right. So again, this requires to be done every time for every quarter, or maybe at least once in a year or twice in a year, for just to be aware, evaluating yourself and doing the changes the right time to be what you want to be, where you have a goal that is fixated. Okay, so this is the EPIC framework. Right now, I will take you through the 3M model so that you understand when I mentioned the implementation requires a particular way of operation. That will give you some more clarity which you can put into your personal systems also as we speak. Okay, it's as practical as that. So with that, Let me see you on the next one when I talk about the 3M model. Bye.